Hey everybody, Fun Stampers Journey Coach Janice Whiting here, and in this video I am going to show you how to make a kind of cute, trendy kind of card that uses a similar technique, actually the exact same technique that I used when I made this card. So how I use, or what I did to create the background to this flower is the technique that I'm showcasing in this card as well, except for this card is completely different. So this card with the flower is more, oh, what is that? I don't know what that is. It's more kind of like a feminine, kind of shabby chic almost kind of look to it, whereas this card here is a little bit more geometric. A little bit more trendy, I guess. I don't know. And let's see. So do you see those arrows? I used that same technique with the inking to create those arrows and align them in that way. I've made a few. Actually, once again, this card is going to be for a whole group of lovely ladies. So I've made about 13 of them, or we'll be making 13 of them. And I've kind of gone and done a few different color schemes here. But again, using that same technique. So this one, believe it or not, is a little bit more simple, even though it might look busy. To create it is a little bit simple because of the tools that we're going to use. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and rearrange my camera, and I will show you how I did it once again. All right. Okay, so here I have a couple of examples of the cards that I've made using, again, that kind of marbled look. And of course, let me see if I can zoom in or bring this up to the camera a little bit so you can see the variations of colors on the arrows. And then this one, which has a different color scheme. This is actually my favorite. It's beautiful. So I want to go ahead and show you how I did it. Basically, if you watched my other video, you saw that it's basically mixing our Journey color splashes together, spritzing them with water, and then laying the stamped image or whatever it is on top of it. So I'm going to start off with our Blue Lagoon, our lavender, and a little bit of the gold. And when we do this, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. Zoom in there, right there. Basically, we're going to shake them up a little bit. Some of them, of the metallic ones, will have some of the metallic pigment at the bottom, so you do want to shake it up a little bit before you use it. Some of the non-metallics really don't, but so you don't have to, but I guess I do just in case. And you just need to put a little bit of whatever color. And this is one of those techniques that it's fun to play. You play around with it depending upon how much of a particular color you want on there. Okay, so I just got done doing drops of Blue Lagoon and some drops of the lavender. Now I'm going to, so here's that gold, and see how the metallic part is kind of accumulated on the bottom. So I've got to shake that up a little bit. And then I'm going to put just a couple drops of the gold. Now the gold is really, it's a gold shimmer, okay? So it doesn't necessarily add too much color to it. It's just, you're going to see it's going to add a little bit of shimmer to it when all is said and done. Okay, now the magic is when you spray a little bit of water on top of it. So I have here one of our Fun Stampers Journey misters, and I am going to spray water right there. Now you can mix it around as much as you like, but just keep in mind that if you mix around too much, it's going to get muddied up, and it won't have, or it won't give you like the different splotches of color, which happens to be my favorite look to it. I've got here a scrap of paper. You could either, like I did with our flower card, the peach blossom, I had stamped the image, and then I took that and I put it face down on the color to soak up the color. But in this case, I'm actually going to use a stamped image. I'm just going to put this directly over, kind of smear it as much as it'll let me. Lift up. Let's see, I can add a little bit more on the ends. And let me see if I can get here. Pick up any of the residual color that's left. And Look at that, beautiful. This one, I chose this one because it's one of my favorites. It's kind of like galaxy kind of color. And I don't know if you can see because of the fading light in the day. You might not, oh, you kind of see that gold shimmer right there. Isn't that beautiful? So here's what you do. You take your colored paper, you let it dry a little bit. Now what I did with mine, because I was kind of like, okay, come on, hurry up. I actually heat dried it with our heating gun. And I just held it up really carefully, and I used our heat gun with it and kind of let it dry that way, just for, you know, a few seconds on each one. I mean, you have to remember, I made gazillions of these. So once it is nice and dry, then you take our punch system, and I have here, let's see if I can zoom back out a little bit more so you're not all so up close, and there we go. Our punch system, and I used our cartridge with our arrows, okay? So I just want to show you, I've done a video on this, so if you're curious exactly as to how it works and everything else, and you want a little bit more of a detailed description of how that works, then go and check out that video. You can even look it up, search under punch system, and you should find it under my videos, and it'll explain everything. But just as far as, you know, a really quick tutorial, because it is actually really simple to use. You've got the handle there, and you have, gosh, there are quite a few different cartridges. There's basic circles, there's squares and triangles and scallop circles, and then there's various shapes like this, like these arrows right here. And these cartridges range from $6.95 to $14.95. So this one right here is $14.95 because it gives you 3 different size arrows, and this one is called This Way, and like I said, it's $14.95. And anyway, so you get it in really simply. Each cartridge has a little flower image. That image gets lined up with the flower image on this side, because see, it's only on one end, and then you basically slide it through, and you hear a click, okay? To release the cartridge, you press this button here, and it, and it releases, okay? So again, it just slides through, and it clicks, okay? And again, you'll see, if you want to go check out that video that I've made, it gives you a little bit more detailed instructions. But anyway, the reason I love this is because if you don't have a lot of grip strength, you can literally just leave it on the table and press down, and it cuts beautifully. If you're just fine and you want to hold it up, you can hold it up and squeeze and punch to your heart's content. So anyway, we've got the paper here. Again, it's a little wet. I would not recommend cutting it while it's a little wet. So I already pre-cut some little arrows. I'm going to bring them over here. And these I used with a few different colors. Let's see if I can bring them around. See if I can give you an example of the sizes here. So when I punch those, you've got the large, you've got the medium, and the small. That's kind of what I was hoping to show you there. And basically I took these, and again, I created, this is different shades of red, these are different shades of orange, and again, bringing in this card here, you know, I've mixed some of my colors. I try to do 3 colors at a time. You can kind of see there's some orange in here, there's a little bit of pink, there's yellow and orange, and then the gold down at the bottom got towards the greens and the blues. And my favorite, like I was saying, was this mixture of the blues and the purples and the pinks. It's one of my favorite color combos. Anyway, and so what I did was I got a I believe it was 4 by 5 1/4 piece of whipped cream cardstock, and I literally just glued them down. I aligned them and glued them down as they kind of fit. Okay, so my theme for these cards that I'm making is kind of an encouragement to some of my team, some of my Fun Stampers Journey coaches, and I wanted to encourage them on an upcoming conference that we're going to. So I wanted this to be pointing up, and of course the sentiment there is reach for the stars. So everything's pointing up like we're reaching towards the stars. So anyway, so I oriented all of those pointing up and then I glued them down. Now, after a while, I got really tired of gluing these arrows down. You know, I was using our, you know, tried and true craft glue, which is fantastic, and I love it, and I use it for, you know, half a dozen other things. But I was just getting tired. I was like, man, this is a lot of gluing down. And then I remembered that we have our huge, I say huge, our big sheets of white liner. It's the same material as our white liner tape. If you're familiar with our white liner tape, it's like our double-sided tape. It's about 1/4 of an inch width, and it's fantastic. You tear it, and it's got 2 sides. Anyway, so we have white liner sheets. They're 8.5 by 11 and 4 come in a page, and I remembered them, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what was I doing? What was I thinking? So after a while, I took these because I created quite a few of these, ranging from red to purple in the color of the rainbow. And I literally took a sheet, I peeled off one side of the backing, and I started just putting all these down kind of like in an order. And then I took my punch and I punched them all out so that when they were finally ready to roll, they had the sticky backing. So all I have to do now is peel off the backing and then place them down. So for whatever reason, for me, that saved a step, I guess. I don't know if it saved a step. It felt quicker because I'm not having to deal with glue, which for whatever reason that bothered me at the time because I'm having to do however many, gosh, 20, 30, you know, on one. So it felt like it was going faster. So there you go. There's an option for you if you like that technique. So anyway, I wanted to go ahead and show you how I put it together. So you had the 4" by 5 1/4 panel that you glued the arrows on or adhered them with the double-sided white liner sheets, all going up. And then from there, I cut out a piece of whipped cream, and it is, gosh, I believe it's 1 1/4 by 2 1/2, and I'm going to double check that here. All right, so yes, it is 1 1/4 by 2 1/2, and I cut that using our paper trimmer. And on this, I took our Reach for the Stars stamp. Let me put that back over that way. And the Reach for the Stars sentiment stamp here that I've got, it actually comes from our Greeting Trends stamp set. So here's the Greeting Trends. It has super cute different sentiments. Let's see if I can get that without a glare. So Reach for the Stars, Happy Everything is one of my favorites. Hello Friend, True Love, Make a Wish, and Make Amazing Happen, which is one of Richard's most popular sayings that he likes. And again, one of my go-to stamp sets for card making because it's just great. So I took our black licorice ink and I inked this up, and then I just stamped it right in the center of that 2 1/2 inch by 1 1/4 piece of whipped cream. All right, and let's see if I can do this without getting my head in the camera's view. And if I do, I'm sorry. I apologize ahead of time. I'll try to be quick about it. All right, not bad. Okay, so stamp that right in the center, and there you've got your piece to adhere that to. The next thing that I did was I actually took, believe it or not, I took a piece of this grid paper, and first of all, I know I've talked about this grid paper before, but it has so many more uses than just as a backdrop for your creating. I've actually, like I said, you write notes on it, you can do ink tests and smudges on it. I actually drew an arrow because I wanted an arrow about this big and pointing up, and I didn't have a die for that. Richard, I need a die for this. So I wanted one to be fairly even. So I just took some of the grid paper that I was working on, and I counted out the 4 squares up and over, and I went to each side and in the middle point. And anyway, I just drew me a super easy arrow, and it's a nice even arrow, and I freehanded it, but the grid paper was super helpful for me to be able to do that. And I used this as a template on our black licorice cardstock, and I just cut out a few of these. And this is the die, I say the die piece, it's the cutout that I'm using to be the basis for our sentiment. Isn't that fun? So I've got the Reach for the Stars, I've got the arrow, and I've got this panel. Now I'm going to adhere this onto my favorite card fold. Y'all are going to get tired of me saying it, but of course it's the tent fold. 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 tent fold. And in order to do that, basically I just use some of our foam squares, our famous foam squares. And I have our tiny ones. Normally I think I would use our big ones, but it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to grab, I always like to put them in the corners and then some in the middle. Like if I was going to be putting a lot of stuff on top, I would probably use a few more. Definitely would normally want to use the big ones, but it's not going to be that big a deal, so this will work just fine. For, you know, 1 on each corner and then 4 kind of towards the middle. Take the paper backing off, and then you're just going to adhere it to that center whipped cream card base going. And you know, you might think, why not glue it down? You could glue it down, but there's something about the dimension that's added using these foam squares that just gives it a little extra oomph. I don't know how to describe it, but if I, you know, put the two cards together, you would definitely find this one to be a little bit more interesting. Okay, so we're going to put this down towards the center. Again, I hope not to put my head in the way. Right there-ish. Okay. Okay, and then, again, just following the cards that I made before, we're going to adhere the arrow. And again, you're going to use the foam squares. And I just kind of put 2 or 3 down the middle, and that was really all I needed. Peel the backing off and then go ahead and adhere it. Move this one down a little bit further. There we go. And this is going to go all the way down to the bottom. Let me get this little guy out. There it goes. You're going to center it in the middle, as far as in the middle of the width, but it's going to be, it's going to be flush with the bottom of the card. So not flush with the 4 by 5 1/4 panel, but actually flush to the bottom of the card. And sometimes I'll just stand it up and kind of make it even that way. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, so next step is I'm going to go ahead and pick a color to color in the reach part. I picked yellow. Actually, I said yellow. It's actually our electric, is it lime? Lemon, our sour lemon for this one. And I picked, I think it's turbo teal for this one, or maybe cool pool. And for this one, I was thinking of going for maybe our cosmic grape. Cosmic grape sounds fun for this one. So here's what I did. I just took a little bit, I got one of our blocks, and I literally just put a little bit of the color splash onto the block. It's just basically holding it. You could use anything you could have used that clear acetate sheet, just a tad. It does like a little bitty drop. It's not going to use more than that. And I had grabbed a pen. These are just kind of old pens that I've had, gel pens that really don't work that well. And actually this one still has that little plastic nub. I don't know if you can see that, but anyway, I just use this as an applicator for the ink. You could have used your paintbrush, one of your paint brushes. I just wanted something really tiny and really quick, and this is what I had, and it worked great. So, you know, I'm all about using what you have at hand. This requires little to no cleanup, other than wiping off the splash that I don't end up using, because even though I just put one little drop on there, I'm not going to use all of it because this is a very small section. So I'm going to keep going. Now when it dries, you might want to go back and do it one more time, depending upon how bold of a color that you're going for. There's that. Okay. And look, I still have all that left. I say all that. I mean, it was just a little drop to begin with, but you end up not using very much. And then here's the Reach for the Stars. I don't know if you can pick up that color there. I'm going to pause for a minute and see if I can get some lights on to help with the color here. All right, that's a little bit better. So you can kind of see here, you can kind of see the pink there. Okay, so once you have the pink done, you've got that on there, then you can go ahead and adhere this to the kind of the center of your arrow. And again, 2 or 3 maybe. If you had the larger ones, I probably would have just used one. Oh, and I do not like that shadow. I'm so sorry. That's what happens when you play with light in the evening. Okay, so this is going to go straight over the middle there. Let's see if I can lift that up without any of those shadows. You can see the colors there a little bit better. Okay. All right, so we've got the reach for the stars on there. Super cute. And really the only thing missing right now is our black thread. Okay, and you guys have to forgive me because in my last video, I was talking about our thread and I believe I got it mixed up. Okay. So if I'm remembering correctly, and I'm just going to double check because even now I'm like, am I saying it right? But I talked about how we have the black thread and we have the black twine. And I'm here looking in my catalog because I want to tell you the truth here. Yep. So this is, maybe I did say it right. Well, whichever way, I'm saying it right today. The sheen on this, which is nice and kind of, it's shiny, you know, this one is the twine. And then the red is the one that is a little bit more rough. Okay, that's the one that I was talking about being a little bit more kind of rustic. And let's see if I have a sample with me close by. I think I do, actually. And you may not be able to tell the difference between these two, but let's see if we can. The only thing I can think of to tell you as far as the difference on these two is one has a wax coating and one doesn't. So this one here, you can kind of almost feel, it's also a wee bit thinner. And then this is the twine. And then the thread is the one that is like you think of thread. It's like just cotton thread. It's a little bit rougher. It kind of gives you more of that rustic feel and look. So we have both of those available. And this one I was using our twine. Okay, so if I said it backwards in my last video, forgive me. So anyway, we take our twine and also some of our what am I trying to say? White liner tape. What you do, there's no special technique, okay? Really, at least in my mind, you're just creating 2 circular loops. Let me get my card back there. Okay, so I actually just make 2 here and then I make 2 separate ones here. I just find it easier, but you could do it however you'd like. Isn't that gorgeous? Man, I love that. Okay, so you're gonna make, I just kind of, like I said, make a circle, however big or however small, then loop a second piece around. And I just kind of play with it and pull it taut if I need to, make it bigger if I need to. That looks about right. I mean, there's no perfect size really that I'm looking for. And then I actually snip it. I don't go ahead and create that other loop because I want that to be separate. I just find it easier. And then I'm going to use your white liner tape. The fantastic thing about this tape, one of the fantastic things is you can just tear off a section and it's really easy to do. And you're going to use that white liner tape to tape just the middle here. So now you've got a little loop that has some white liner on it, and you're going to use that white liner to adhere it, behind and underneath the arrow. So what I did was I just lifted up a little bit and arranged it so it was kind of up and over to the side, and then pressed down. You might need to look under there to make sure that it's adhered nice and good. There we go. And then you can press that other one back down. And you still have time to, you know, kind of shape it a little bit. But for the most part, I kind of like it kind of taking on its own little fun. I like it being up and raised off the paper a little bit. So then I'm going to do the same thing, but a slightly smaller one for the bottom left area. So again, a loop, but just a little bit smaller than what I had just done, what I just did. Gonna cut that one just like I did this other one. Move that one over, maybe make this one a little bit bigger. Again, you just kind of play with it until you get it the right size. And if you make it too small, then, you know, take another little piece of thread and go, or twine, and use that. Okay, so again, I just tore off a piece of our white liner. I'm gonna use that to be the adhesive. And this is gonna go underneath this left side of the arrow and underneath the reach. And sometimes I actually have to have a little pencil or something to shove it in, or maybe the ends of my scissors to put it in the right area. And just kind of place it where you want it. It's kind of about where, oh, but I don't want to see it sticking out, so I'm going to go ahead and move it. There we go. There, and then just press down for the adhesive to stick. And then just kind of orient it. And then I'm actually going to trim these little extra pieces off because I actually don't want these showing. And then just kind of move them around, and then you're done. There we go. Okay, so there you go. Forgive me for a minute here as I move the camera. And forgive me for the lighting. I'm definitely not the best time to shoot a video, but hopefully you can see the cards. So anyway, there it is. So basically I showed you a similar technique or same technique as the last video I created, but two completely different cards and two different ways that you can use it. So again, this one was by creating, so same technique, but now we use this and our punch system to create different shapes that you can then lay out on a card and use in a variety of ways. Here's the final product for today. Using it to create this Reach for the Stars card. Using that, awesome. Don't you love those? That for just the different color varieties there. The one I did earlier here with the red, yellow, and green. So anyway, same technique. Hopefully if you saw my Peach Blossom card and you saw me make that, and now you've seen me make this. So two, again, completely different cards, but using the same technique, it just hopefully will show you how useful and how many different things you can use or do with our fun color splashes. So again, I used a variety of colors, probably a lot of different ones, because I wanted, again, that variety of all of the colors in the rainbow. But you can use just one or two or three of them. Really, I recommend using at least three, just because it gives you that fun variance in color. And then, again, all of these things are available on my website. So go to www.funstampersjourney.com/Janice Whiting. And the splashes, I believe I said, were $7.95. So $7.95. If I was gonna, some people always ask, well, if I can only get a few, what color should I get? Well, for sure get like your favorite color, okay? And then I would get the gold. So get, one or two of your favorite colors and then get a gold, because the gold, it adds a shimmer. It's again, it's not like paint, right? It has more of that like watercolory kind of effect, and the gold always adds a little bit of shimmer. And I just don't know if the camera is picking up that shimmer. I think it is right there. So the gold isn't really like an opaque gold paint. It just has this cool gold shimmer on it. So get a few colors and the gold, which is awesome. So anyway, that is all I have for you today. Thanks so much for stopping by. And if you have any questions, like always, give me a little comment here below. Like my video if you want to see more. And any questions or anything, just shoot them my way. Okay, until next time. Bye.